And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year's. Even though where I'm at currently, it is still about 6 p.m. over here. Uh, Happy New Year's, and if you're listening from another side of the world by any chance, where it's already New Year's, Happy New Year's to you. Welcome back to Grade A Fantasy for another episode on the Week 18 slate. Now previewing the running backs. Let's get right into it. First off, the highest paid running back, the highest price running back, most definitely be one of the lower owned pieces. Why? It is interesting. I just want to talk about Saquon. Once again, Saquon is on the quest. If I'm not mistaken, it's 105 yards, 102 yards. The talk is they're on a Kansas City Chiefs type level of sitting some starters. I think they should also sit Jalen Hurts coming off concussion protocol. Give him as much time to heal and be ready for the playoffs. The Eagles are in a spot where they can't move. They're pretty much set in stone. They can't move anywhere. It's all pretty much about that Lions and Vikings game. Winner takes all, top seed, and then the loser could actually fall to all the way to the fifth seed because they won't be a division winner. That's how crazy that game is. So it's all about the quest for Saquon. I think the coach that Nick Sirianni is, as long as Saquon is in there, I think some of the other starters do play with him against the Giants. It's still a division rival, yes, but it's a game that really doesn't mean much. But it's all about the record. So if you pick Saquon, you're hoping that Sirianni at least says, hey, we're going to let you play for the half. If he breaks off one of those long runs and then he keeps gashing off 3, 4, maybe a 7 here and there, and maybe it's a competitive game. Maybe Saquon plays into the third quarter, but all reality, it kind of says we already know what the cap is going to be. Because let's say he's close, right? And then he breaks one for 30, 40, whatever the case is. Yes, he could break for 60. But let's say he's over a course of a game. The drive is going. They're moving the ball down the field. And from inside the Giants' 40-something yard line, he busts out a 30, 39-yard touchdown. Okay, so he goes over the limit. He goes over the record and then some. Gets the touchdown. You're possibly looking at him being capped. He possibly can't get the 20. Possibly. He might be capped at under 15 because he needs the touchdown for at least that 97 to at least be worth it. He's not going to get 9,700 production on yardage alone. I don't care if it's Saquon. Saquon's one of my favorite players. Love running back. I love him. But he still needs a touchdown. And obviously, they know that. I mean, I'm sorry, but when it's going for a record, he's going to be geared. He's going to be geared to getting the ball via carry. So I don't even think you're going to see Saquon for a game that doesn't mean anything. And we know that he could break on, which he can. You probably won't even see him catch a screen pass. So this is probably the most dangerous 9,700 or highest up top price running back prices of the season because you're literally working with a cap. Because if he doesn't score a touchdown, needing 100 and whatever yards, let's say he gets a nice long run, gets tackled, he could finish with 110, 120. You're stuck at 12 points because they could take him out right after the record. That's it. That is it. So with Saquon is draft at your own risk. I will still have a piece here and there. Like I said, this has very first of the year, somewhat preseason, unpredictable preseason vibes. But I'm going to be very light to damn near fade. I'm still going to take a chance. But I'm letting you know, proceed with caution. Because if he just gets the record and can't even get a touchdown, yes, that 97 is pretty much wasted, which is why basically the next few people below him are worth their price. Bijan, win or go home. In the best matchup for a running back, it's Carolina. Bijan, 9,200. He's definitely somebody that, he's going to get the workload. He's going to be high owned. I know Jahmyr Gibbs. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be highly touted, and he's going to be very popular. But I'm not going to lie. Ever since the injury, ever since the injury. And then, yes, earlier this season, he did have a good game of 33 points. But this week is not the same as the middle of the season. I would not fault people for fading Jahmyr Gibbs this week. I honestly think that a lot of people are going to wait for him to, you know, wait for that end game and see and hope that he produces whatever. This, like I said, these division games do have the tendency to like undershoot. Like I said, I think it could shoot around the total, maybe shoot under the total. Yes, it could go over. But like I said, there's a lot of high-priced players in this game, and they all need to produce. He needs to produce what he's been doing the last few weeks. As you can see, for 8,800 and this kind of slate, he needs to do what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. Because I'm not going to lie, you're going to like to see if he hits 16, but guess what? You're not going to need the 16. You're damn sure not going to need the 9.4, the 18, the 11.8, the 14.1. That's not going to do it. He needs these boom weeks. Nothing less than like what he did late October against Tennessee, a 22.8. The 33 against Minnesota. You can use that as a repeat. And then definitely, ever since Montgomery's been hurt, he needs these last 3 weeks of production. He has to. He has to. Point blank period. If he gives you a 16.3 or even an 18.8, for some reason, even though those are good scores, I think because of the way this week can play out, with some people having to play out and the way, and like I said, it is a tougher matchup. Playing a team the second time around, yes, it's a whole matchup, but like I said, there are danger points to this game, and I think it should be attacked with caution. As we keep going down, I love Jonathan Taylor. Like I said, Indy has nothing to play for. They got knocked out last week, but hey, why not go out with a bang, have some pride, beat a division opponent? Jacksonville, I understand it says 14, but they definitely have a rush defense that looks like it's ranked in the 20s the last few weeks. So Jonathan Taylor, 8,500 is a nice price. Kyron Williams, I like at 8,400. Even though those Seattle games can be tricky at times, 8,400 Kyron is always an option. Josh Jacobs definitely has a better matchup this week at 82. Now, he's been taking on a heavy load, even against matchups that don't suffice him and don't benefit him in a way. But basically, they're still playing for either being the 6th or the bottom seed of the playoffs. So, obviously, with a win, they could get the 6th seed and just have possibly a better matchup instead of possibly facing the Eagles. Because if you're the bottom seed in that wild card run, you're getting the Eagles. Because remember, now there's only one bye. So basically, Green Bay and the Redskins are basically playing to not play the Eagles in their first playoff match. That's pretty much what they're playing for. It's position. I think if that's the case, there could be a little ease up from Josh. And like I said, I honestly felt last week that if you were heavy on the game or had Jordan Love stacks, I think you got scripted out and you got coached out. You probably got coach scripted out because Vikings have one of the best run defense, and I think they went a little too hard at trying to establish the run because it didn't do anything for Jordan Love dropbacks. And I thought they could at least ran more play action as much as they ran the ball with Josh Jacobs. But I think he has a softer matchup. I do like that matchup there. The James Cook, I did not write him down, but I will mention this. Josh Allen is going into the game just to keep his consecutive streak in, to keep his consecutive game streak going, and then he's coming right out. If he's coming out, that's why in this case, I don't like James Cook either. Bills have nothing to play for. So when it comes to the Bills, I'm not going to lie to you. One of the few pay down options that I do like this week, and we're gonna start talking about them already. I could have just picked them early, but I do like the Ty Johnsons at 5,900. You could also go a little further down. I think I'm trying to find the other Bills running back. Can't find them at the moment, but there are a few. But I do like Ty Johnson. Without a doubt, I definitely like Ty Johnson this week. He's definitely an option. Once I saw that news, and then yes, Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, they are both options at 62 and 59. I think without hearing injuries, I'm going to say it like this. This is the week where, honestly, as news breaks, it's not because of injury. I think we have the value staring in our face. We just don't see it yet. And with me digging in with that kind of sign or whatever, he's not a running back. But if Josh Allen's going to sit, I get the feeling that James Cook is not going to play long. So if they're just respecting Josh Allen so he can keep his consecutive game streak, I think James Cooks follows. And on top of what these two guys been doing, I see Ray Davis and Ty Johnson not only as GPP plays, but as considerable options that should be, if you're Galaxy bringing in it, they should not be 3 to 5 to 7% owned. These are guys that should be in the high singles, like 8, 9, and maybe even low teens, because these guys are going to have the opportunity to run against a susceptible New England defense. If Josh Allen is only going to take a snap or two, right now the report is at most the first drive. If that's all he's doing, James Cook is going to follow, Amari Cooper is going to follow. I think Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, and I did mention him. Like I said, FanDuel knew something by pricing up Mitch Trubisky at 7,000. If you were looking at the slate yesterday, that should have opened your eyes. And guess what? When I did the show, that happened before. The Josh Allen news broke last night while I was taking these running back notes and doing my research. That's when that running back news came out. That came out like after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, maybe even 10. When the Josh Allen news was broken that he's only going to be there to take a snap, consecutive game streak intact, and then he's going to sit. So that's where I like the backup running backs for the Bills. Let's continue on. Miami won, so Miami has the ability to still fight for a playoff spot, as I went into before. They're definitely a win in and need help against the Jets. Devon Achane is still an option. He's still gonna have he's still an option. I understand there was a flop last week, but his usage, Achane it's a playoff game. It's basically a playoff game. So Achane against the Jets earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Yeah, had a decent game. Like I said, it was a tough run. It was a tough day running at home, but still got a touchdown. But once again, 7 targets, 645 for 16 points, for basically 16 points. You'll take that and then some, because 15.9 is basically 2x in that 8,000. In a playoff situation, A-Chain is bound for a 20. Bucky Irvin, one of the best spots as well. 7,900. I love him, especially at home against New Orleans. If James Conner doesn't go, and it doesn't seem like he's going to go, I think they just signed him to a contract. They should protect him. Then that's where you're most likely going to get $5,800. Mike, I think you're most likely looking at a Michael Carter appearance against a San Francisco defense that's pretty much beat up. They're still going to come out and play with pride, but Michael Carter at the Rams last week, 13 for 70. Not much in the passing game, but it's still something, and it's value that you could use. So look out for Michael Carter last week. I really think they'll just hold back. James Conner, which is, I think, it's a smart thing to do as we keep on going. J.K. Dobbins, I like at 7,500. I think they'll still play. Like I said, sometimes a team takes on the personality of their coach and the way Harbaugh is. I think they'll go in, and then it's a division rival at Las Vegas. I definitely like that. Once again, he's still an option, dealing with quadricep issues, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be good to go. Aaron Jones, 7,300 on the road at Detroit. Now, yes, you have heard, Detroit's one of the toughest run defense, but they've had the instance where they've been run on in big spots. So that's why I never count on Aaron Jones. Plus, with Detroit's defensive injuries, they have a lot of injuries, and it's mostly on the defense side. Yes, Montgomery's a big blow, but majority of their injuries are all over the defense, on the front line, in the line, maybe a little bit nicked up in the linebacker core, but definitely decimated in the defensive secondary. If we keep going, hey, they're out of it. He did seem to have knee issues, but hey, maybe with treatment he seems to be better. I don't look at any of the Jets running backs besides Breece Hall. It's against Miami. Why not play spoiler? About 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, there was rumors about shutting him down with his knee issues, but they're going to let Breece Hall run it out. So 7,200, he's still an option at home against Miami. I think he had a pretty decent game in the middle of the season against them, if I'm not mistaken. Or did he not play? Was he injured for that game? I think so. Yep, he did not play against them. No, he didn't. So, but it's still an option there. Washington and Dallas. I still like Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle is really showing that he's a force in the backfield. And guess what? Here's another reason why you should like Rico Dowdle. It just broke news before I act. Well, it's going to be old news by the time this is uploaded and you possibly listen to this. But before I actually started recording this episode, literally before I said it's about 5 something, 6 o'clock, literally about 10, 15 minutes ago before this video went up or this video was recorded, Zeke Elliott got cut. So you definitely got to like Dowdle now. 7,100, Rico Dowdle is getting all the touches. They might call up a practice squad guy to when you cut somebody like Zeke Elliott, whoever the practice squad guy is or the third running back is, hey, Dowdle needs some air. Somebody get him some water. Take your time to the line. Snap the ball. Boom. Maybe you get a second play and Dowdle's in for the rest of the drive. Rico Dowdle's value is going to be in the Bijan, Bucky Irvin range. And Taylor range. Maybe Jacob and A-Chain range. With that news, that's big right there. Obviously, the Charbonnet news is big. Him at 7,000. Apparently, I think it is already confirmed that. It's already confirmed that. Let me just get to here that. I think he's already out. He's IR for the season. So with the ankle, so Charbonnet is back. 7,000. He doesn't look like the great player like he did a few weeks ago because he was so cheap at 63, but still an option at 7,000. We already know what Zach Charbonnet looks like when he's not around, especially that boom week right there. Like I said, he did come back the 2 following weeks, but the backfield is basically his 22, basically 30 touches. Basically 30 touches and had 40 and almost had 40 fantasy points. This is not the same matchup. I know that. But that's just the opportunity of what it is. Certain people, instead of a committee, it's great for fantasy when you know one guy's going to get all the work. Let me take this filter off. And as we continue, we'll scroll down. And now we're getting at the 7K and lower range. Isaac Guriendo, healthy, look like he's ready to go at Arizona. I think it's a good matchup for him. Plus, I think his workload goes up. It just came out that Brock Purdy most likely won't be playing. So they'll sit him out for the last game. And I think Isaac Guriendo gets a hefty amount of work in the backfield. I like him at an even 7K. Kind of like Brian Robinson. Not in love with Brian Robinson, even though the matchup is somewhat there. If I keep going down, I will say, even though it's a tough matchup, he's cheap, and he technically is a backup, even though he has played a starter's role this season. Kareem Hunt will most likely get some run while they still rest Isaiah Pacheco. And then, if I'm not mistaken, since he's run so much, I would not be surprised if this running back, he'll most likely be an option as well. I think it's Justin Steele and Samaje Perine. Carson Steele, yeah. Carson Steele did have some opportunities earlier in the season. So, because remember, they did sign Kareem Hunt and they had to get him up to speed for like a week or two, and then Kareem Hunt just ran with it after the Pacheco injury. So Samaje Perine and Carson Steele all 54 and 43. I mean, not the juiciest options, but just let you know what's available out there. Because I don't think Kareem Hunt continues to like bludgeon the back of the offensive line to get through and continue with his reps, even though they have kind of gone down with Isaiah Pacheco around. Like, he's not going to be bludgeoning with the 27 carries or anything like that. Yes, he's calmed it down with 5, 13, 11, and 9. But I think Kareem Hunt is an okay option. But I think when you're sitting starters, I also think that means Kareem Hunt. I think he gets a workload, and you hope that he gets maybe 60 to 80 yards and maybe a touchdown if he could get that. But with Kansas City in playoff mode, that's one of those things where you obviously know that you're looking at a player that, hey, he's done a lot. He deserves a break. He needs to be possibly taken care of. And I think you're really gonna get a limited amount of Kareem Hunt. That's the read I have. When you have Samaje Perine and Carson Steele back there, who are active running back. This Carson Steele is not a practice player. He's on the roster. He played earlier this year, so that's just one of those things I think y'all should look out for, or just be weary about. As we keep going down. Now, here's something that I really want to talk about because I know he's a big name and I did hear people talking about him. I'm not worried about the foot injury. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is the matchup. The thing about Abdullah, what's good about Abdullah is that he does it both ways in these last few weeks. Now, 3 weeks ago against Atlanta, yes, he was still kind of sharing it with Madison, and that's where it kind of, because he was the passing down back, and then he did look good on some runs, so it was like, yeah, we're going to give him some more work. The Amir Abdullah that we've been seeing has been getting work on both ends. That's the thing. The Chargers are not a team to run against, so it's value. What I'm saying is be careful because this is not the same value. It's not because he's priced up. 63 is still fine. But he has to do it solely through the air. Yes, it's a good thing because you get the 0.5 receptions, all more valuable than runs. Yes, they are. But in this case, the Amir Abdullah that we've all fell in love with the last couple of weeks does it both ways, on the ground, through the air, screen passes in the flat. This week is not the matchup to think that he's going to get what he did on the ground last week. Like I said, the disrespect of the Saints, I was real about that. They're soft. The Chargers have a good run defense. That is a legit top 5 run-stopping defense, fantasy-wise and stat-wise. They are very good. It's a challenge to run against them. It is a challenge. So all I'm just saying is I don't think it's the darling matchup that you think. Now, can Abdullah still get his price on the pass load? He can. But the reason why you love Amir Abdullah is he's getting it through both. He's pretty much taken over, and Alexander Madison is his backup. But when you have the ability and your ceiling is basically cut in half because now you can only do it through the air, and once again, the Raiders aren't the most prolific offense, and if you're talking about sharing it just through the air, his ceiling is limited, and for all that, you might as well go heavy on Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers, which is how you attack the Chargers, and it's through the air. So just giving you that little bit of information. What else do we like here? I also like I said, we already went there. One of the weird dark horses that we could talk about here, I guess we could talk about DeAndre Swift. Hasn't looked good lately, but it is a matchup that, maybe they could expose against Green Bay. A lot of things going on with Caleb Williams. They're out, but I don't know. Maybe DeAndre Swift can go out with a bang at the end of the season. One of my favorite paydowns, besides the Ray Davis, and like I said, I will respect Abdullah, but because they're not that good against the run, and you're probably going to get some bench players sitting in this game too. Besides the offensive side, the Bills defense, Ramondre Stevenson, like I said, playing that too high. Running backs do go a bit crazy on him, and guess what? I love Ramondre Stevenson in this game. He's one of my favorite paydowns at 6,000 even. Do not forget about how bad the Patriots are. They're going to be, it's still a division game. New England's at home as well, so I definitely like that. And then, of course, with certain starters sitting, some of these defenses do look better than before. That's another reason why I'm looking forward to have all these episodes up and about by Thursday. I'll also be giving you updates on that on other stuff as well as news develops. But Ramondre is definitely one of my favorite paydowns. And like I said, we already spoke about Ty Johnson. We already spoke about Michael Carter. And guess what? I'm not talking about the Philly running backs. I understand it's kind of game on all those other guys. But guess what? You don't know when he's coming in. Like I said, it's easy to sit here and laugh like, oh, Saquon's probably going to bust it out against his former team. He's probably going to bust it out on his former team the first run. Well, guess what? It's still his former team. The Giants are going to do his best to stop them. It's a little poetic that he's going to break this record against the team that let him go. But the Giants are going to do their best to not let that happen. So I don't think somebody like Kenneth Gainwell is an option. If you ask me, I feel this is what's going to happen. I feel Barkley will get this record. I just feel, like I said, I'm just thinking about it in a mode where, it's comprehensive to how I, think about how this is going to go. I think he gets the record somewhere late second. So maybe by halftime. Or like mid third quarter. But still, Kenneth Gainwell has to meet the value of 5,600 or do something really good at 5,600 in a half. Because I don't think Barkley does this in the first quarter. So now you need Kenneth Gainwell to get whatever he needs in a half if you want to be galaxy brain about it. And by that point, it's like, really, come on, like. So I don't think any of the Philly backups are a option. And before we go through that, like I said, once again, thank you for tuning in. Once again, last night it was said Josh Allen is just keeping up his streak. Number 2, Brock Purdy already downgraded to doubtful, so he's not playing. And pretty much, like I said, it's pretty much set in stone once Barkley sets the record. If Barkley sets the record, it's one of those where if it's in the middle of the drive, they'll let Barkley finish the drive, and then that will be it. And let's say if he breaks it on a scoring play, that will be it. But once the record is done, pretty much expect him to get maybe a snap more or 2. And then other than that, that'll be it. So this is Grade A Fantasy. Thank you for tuning in. Wide receiver, tight end, defensive special teams videos coming soon. Happy New Year. Video will be dropping tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I'm signing off.